Exactly. I mean, I think that Team Liquid right now, a lot of people are tired of the scrim talk, but the reality is you talk to pretty much every pro and they're telling you that TL is dominating in scrims, that they're incredibly strong. Pros are viewing Team Liquid as the strongest team, or at the very least, one of the couple teams. So Shopify, if they can even be competitive with TL, if they can have a good series here, go 3 games, you know, look pretty close, even that I think will convince people that, hey, at the very least, Shopify should be competitive in the midfield, right? That they should be kind of climbing up people's power rankings, that they should be looked at as a solid playoff team. And that is what they are looking for, that week-over-week progression. Team Liquid, though, of course, looking for some of that themselves. They were pretty disappointed with their results from lock-in. And even week 1, you know, still lots they can clean up on from that series against FlyQuest.
I did, however, really like the fact that we got to see like an aggressive Team Liquid, specifically in the Game 3 against FlyQuest, slamming the Lee Sin pocket pick there for Jose Diodo, picking a composition that you know is going to get outscaled and being able to execute in a way where that doesn't end up costing you. I think that that's the type of look you really want to see from this squad going forward. But hey, we're already into Champ Select. It's first pick for Shopify Rebellion. Team Liquid selecting to play from the blue side. We've got Ori, Varus, and Karma banned away, while Shopify are going to ban out the Renekton, the Rumble, and the Nautilus, as we do see the Pantheon first pick for Shopify Rebellion, but the instant response from Team Liquid is the Ashe Seraphine, the terror bottom lane duo that is just so difficult for so many laners to deal with.
And mostly you're going to get Corki Nami as a response, so I'm curious to see if that is going to be what we get from Shopify, or if they're going to kind of, you know, try to go for something a little bit different. Sometimes you can go for an aggressive option and try to really punish them, but it is the expected answer. Generally speaking, Pantheon is pretty good into the Ashe Seraphine, because generally when you're looking at this duo, you're looking at them as very powerful in the 2v2, but low mobility and very gankable, right? So Pantheon is one of those junglers that people like to draft against it because you can get down there and punish. So it is interesting that TL had the confidence to slam it down anyway. So now I'm curious, are they going to match roles here? Are we going to get a good early game jungler from Jose so he can try to match in the 3v3, which is generally what you want to do if you're going to play a pushing bot lane, and Xin Zhao is going to really fit the bill there. So now it becomes, you know, can Jose be in the right place at the right time? Obviously, it's a lot easier for Contracts to get down there with a ground Starfall on demand and try to punish a pushing lane. But if TL have that pushing bot lane, Jose can be invading. You can get deep wards. You can track where the Pantheon is, and all of a sudden, that ultimate becomes much more difficult to use.
And talking about Pantheon being effective into Ashe Seraphine, I also like the choice from TL to, as soon as you see the Pantheon, immediately grab this duo for yourself. Because whenever I see champions that have global or semi-global ultimates, pairing them with one or potentially even 2 other champions that also have the same capability just creates such a massive amount of threat. So denying the ability to use the arrow and the Grand Starfall that you're talking about together in tandem, I think is pretty important.
It absolutely is. And, you know, I talked about getting deep vision. Obviously, Hawkshot is also going to help you do that, to be able to track the Pantheon, know where he is. So between deep wards, between the Hawkshot, you are hoping that they're going to have a good idea of where this Pantheon is at all times. And we will have to see how these 2 bot lanes go. Obviously, the Lounge was talking about, you know, B-Boy having this crazy Caitlyn game where the game got blown apart. He set the record for the gold difference at 8. Since it has been tracked in the LCS, was up thousands of gold ahead. And even though LYON and Core are looked at as one of the best bot lanes in the league, they got kind of blasted by FlyQuest bot lane last week. Masu and Cryogen were giving them hands, man. They were getting 2v2 kills many times in a row. The Corki game that FlyQuest actually won, that TL lost, was, you know, almost a 1v9 game from Masu. You know, they dominated them in the bot lane. So we're going to have to see if LYON and Core can look a little bit better in that 2v2, because, you know, this plan of tracking the jungler and being able to 3v3 and all that is great, but you have to not lose the 2v2 for that to actually be viable.
Yeah, exactly. That pop-off game you're talking about with Masu piloting the Corki, the initial 2 deaths came from the fact that it was supposed to be Team Liquid setting up a play for Jose to come down there, and then LYON and Core just both drop. They overplay their hand. They get too aggressive in the setup, trying to bait their opponents in. Sometimes you're the bait, sometimes you're the shark, and they were, they ended up in the chum bucket after that one.
Absolutely did. As we are going to get Aurora coming through here as a blind from TL, and the answers are going to be Mel and Ambessa. So now we're going to find out, you know, is this going to be Aurora mid for Quid, or is it going to be Aurora top for Morgan? You know, you do have the option to go either way. I think against the Mel, it could be pretty tough for the Aurora because you are going to be outranged. You are expecting it to probably go top lane now, given the matchups, but you do have the option to go either way, and obviously can still play at mid here for Quid, and it is going to be a Jax for Morgan, so it will be Aurora mid. And it'll be interesting to see how Quid does here against Zinni, who had a really good week 1 of Spring after a pretty tough lock-in tournament.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I'm surprised that we're going to see the Aurora opt into the matchup against Mel, one of those longer range control mage types. Yeah. I feel like every time I see Aurora, her natural environment is she wants to bully short range enemy champions. She has such a powerful burst pattern. It's super easy for her to just go ahead, get that damage down, and immediately back away. Mel's going to make that pretty tough.
Yeah, it is going to be really difficult. You know, generally these types of champions can really struggle against poke mages. You know, the question is, can you maintain the push? If you can maintain the push and keep Zinni in under his tower, then it's going to be a lot less powerful. If you lose the push to Mel, then all of a sudden you're trying to last hit under your tower where, you know, Mel is just raining down spells on you one after the other.
Yep.
And you don't really have a great trade pattern to trade back. So getting the push, I think, is going to be incredibly important. It'll be interesting to see how that goes in this matchup. It's not one I've seen a ton, but Mel is getting a lot more popular in lock-in during Split 1 in LPL. Mel was really, really popular in LPL. We saw it at First Stand quite a bit, has become quite a popular answer to Ahri, but we are seeing people just get more comfortable with it in general, and the more they play it, the more they realize, hey, this is actually really, really powerful, especially when you're playing against some specific champions, and it is playing against the Nami, and you can reflect the Nami wave, and that is one of the best ultimates in the game to reflect. You can also reflect the Ash Arrow. Those are two that are pretty easy, excuse me. The Seraphine ult, you know, you're going to be able to reflect those. Of course, the Nami's on his side, but the Ash ult, the Seraphine ult, being able to reflect those is actually so incredibly powerful. So, you know, maybe partially why Zinni elected to go for it.
Well, I'm excited to see how this one is going to play out. I'm very excited to see specifically where our junglers are going to focus. I feel like when we saw the first 3 picks for either side in the draft, we were talking so much about that bottom lane, about how jungle intervention here could be super important against the power and priority that the Ashe plus Seraphine combo is normally going to command. But now that we've seen this potential, like Aurora into Mel, hey, this could be very volatile as well, it just means that there's that much more opportunity cost to every decision that the junglers make.
It absolutely is. You know, you have to really decide where you're going to go. Top lane can be very volatile in these types of matchups. Also, when you're looking at, you know, Mbessa, Jax, if one gets really far ahead of the other, it can be very, very difficult. These are the current LCS standings. The only undefeated team, the Kings of the Castle.
On
top of the table, 2-0. It's the first time that Shopify Rebellion has been in sole possession of first place in their organization's history. Not bad, Shopify.
Not bad, but they got to keep it going. It's not just a one-week league. We got to see how you can stack up against the rest of them, LYON and Core JJ. Now with control over this bottom lane, pretty much what you would expect here early on. Morgan versus Fudge in the top side's not going to be super exciting here early. As you can see, jungler pathing right now. Everybody finishing up their first quadrants as contracts will path towards the bottom side of the map. But you can see HoseDiodo going to go ahead, invade here early on.
Yeah, they love to do this. When they get the pushing bot, they love to go for these invades, and we're going to see LYON and Core come over and help if they need to. Seos and B-Boy are going to be losing this first plate on the tower pretty early on, and they are getting bullied quite hard. I didn't expect it to be, you know, this one-sided early on, but you know, if you're not able to get some of these nice trades out from the Nami and kind of utilize the sustain as your advantage, if the Ashe and Seraphine kind of keep their distance, it does get a lot more difficult. And Jose has no smite, so this is going to be a tough one to actually challenge for because his bot lane is not moving. But Contracts, I don't think, knows that he doesn't have smite.
Yeah, Contracts also no flash on the Pantheon, so we'll have to be a little concerned if he wants to overcommit to any fights here. HoseDiodo gets stunned up here, trying to make his way back outside, steps outside of the Aqua Prison. Jose getting away now, reinforced by the shields from Core JJ. Team Liquid firing back as Quid rotates down into the fight. Burst of the Contracts is a lot, and their first blood over to Team Liquid as it is traded 1-for-1, but Zinni's about to fall now too, and TL wants even more. Seos has to try to flash back into his own jungle to stay alive, but no, it's TL 3-for-1.
Well, Shopify 2-0. Good start to the split, you know. Kept that win streak going for 2 games. And time of death in this one looking pretty early on. At Shopify, it felt like they really tried to force this. You know, they have the move from Seos first, but Quid is just hitting the back of Zinni this whole time while they're trying to chase into Jose. B-Boy can't join the fight at all because he's completely zoned out by the bot lane. And Shopify just did not have the proper setup for this whatsoever. Zinni's not even going to bother flashing because he knows Quid can just go across the veil, hop up the wall, follow him, no problem, get that kill regardless. And, you know, we didn't even talk about it, but Morgan forced the flash of Fudge as well.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a disaster. 4 minutes in here, 1.8K the gold lead for TL. They are insanely ahead just like that. And yeah, you don't want the kills to go to CoreJJ. It's unfortunate that he got 2 of them. But the reality is it's still going to be good. Oh, okay, never mind. He did not force the flash. I just saw that being burned, and I assumed it was during a 1v1.
Normally, I feel like that's a safe assumption, but hey, even pros make blunders sometimes. Unfortunately, a blunder means that much more in a game that is quickly spiraling out of control on the other side of the map. But I feel like we've already answered one of the questions that you posed back in the lobby, back in the draft, talking about LYON and CoreJJ fumbling in the 2v2 against FlyQuest last weekend, needing to show up, step up, be more solid in the bottom lane this week. I think this is a pretty solid start.
It is looking very good here. You know, they had the push. I feel like this was more about Shopify forcing something that they didn't have the setup to, but they are able to, you know, punish that pretty heavily. Quid gets a kill, Core gets 2, and he's going to be early stacking that tier. You know, had a lot of gold, and enchanters scale really, really well with gold. You know, I'm honestly a lot happier to see an enchanter get that gold than I am to see my Braum or whatever
like
be
a
able to
Leona.
pick that up, Leona, etc. Because those are kind of just like one-item champions that kind of get stuck there. Whereas these days with the support quest, you can easily get to 2 items, sometimes even 3 items on these enchanters, and they scale ridiculously well. And now Contracts doesn't really have a lot of options besides trying to force.
Oh, Quid going in for the solo kill onto Zinni. Doesn't quite have the damage that he needs. Looking for potentially the range here to fire off a 2-fold Hex, but he won't get it. So Zinni stays alive. Meanwhile, back in the bottom lane, Junglers still deciding to turn this into an honest 3v3 as Jose and Contracts just going to spend a lot of time covering for their respective bot lanes.
So it was honest when they are even on gold. Is it still honest, you know?
It's
like, is it an honest
honestly a
boxing
problem
fight
for
if it's
Shopify.
me versus Mike Tyson? You know, is that an honest?
Well, I mean, if you're meeting him there in the ring, it's going to be an honest 5 seconds or so. Not trying to hate here. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, that was my question, you know? Me versus LeBron, honest 1v1.
Well, you know
one
what
is stronger than the other.
You know what I honestly think
It's hard
this
to say
might be?
who, but
I think this is Kangus's fault. Because Kangus is always wrong when it comes to Shopify. So now that he jumped back on the Shopify boat at the end of the show opening today, now the opening has gone terribly for them.
Why does he hate Shopify?
Why does Kangus do this?
That's crazy.
To Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, why would he do this to Shopify Rebellion? Why did he run on stage and press Fudge's flash like that?
What a diabolical thing to do.
That is crazy. Yeah, in Split 1, in lock-in, he predicts them first. They win exactly 0 games. In Split 2, he predicts them last. They start off undefeated in week 1.
Clean sweep week 1. Yep.
Then goes on the lounge and starts talking about how they're going to win the split. And what do we have?
We have a 2,000 gold deficit.
We have
5
a
minutes
nice
into the
fair
game.
fight between LeBron James and Zale. Nice fair fight, you know?
We're going to sell out stadiums with that card, man. That's
I think people would pay to see LeBron beat up a random video game caster.
Hey, a literal world champion, excuse you, as Morgan is going to keep the pressure on here in the top lane. Flash for Flash, so Fudge's earlier blunder on the execution of that doesn't actually end up punishing him, but by the time he does have the summoner spell ready again this time, he has to spend it just to stay alive. So Team Liquid maintains their control all over the map. The scoreboard says it better than I could. There's no individual advantage anywhere for Shopify, as Team Liquid are now going to also start prioritizing some neutral objectives. They'll go after Drake #1. Not a particularly fast Drake early here, just about 8 minutes on the clock, but early Ocean Drake always feels so nice.
Yeah, it's really powerful. And their comp, I think, scales quite well, so they are not under any pressure yet whatsoever. Contracts does have 6, so he can look to try to find a Grand Starfall, see if he can get a kill on this Pantheon. It does feel like when you are behind, that first use of the ultimate becomes so important. The Hawkshot is going to get sent out towards the top side. They're trying to see, you know, are they over on the grubs? Are they taking those just yet? And they're going to get the info that they are not. But I really kind of have my eyes on Contracts now, because when all your lanes are losing, like it or not, the pressure really does become on the jungler to try to turn something around, to try to, you know, get a kill and see if he can make something happen.
And that timer only becomes more and more suffocating as nothing happens, because a neutral game state from here is going to favor TL because they already have the advantage. The attempted arrow in the mid lane, not really going to come super close there to Zinni, so swing and a miss on that one. At least with that cooldown unavailable now, Shopify can feel a little bit more safe trying to make something happen. And you can see Contracts still up here in this top side river is going to look towards Morgan, who jumps away to the safety of the ward. He'll be just fine.
Yep, going to be A-OK there. I kind of wonder if there was a bit of miscommunication. I mean, the arrow missed by so much, it makes me think that, because it was so far behind Zinni, I kind of wonder if LYON wanted Quid to all in and try to like push him back into it, or if there was something going on there. Because otherwise it's a little bit odd to see it missed by that much. So I kind of wonder what the comms were in that moment. You know, maybe Quid's like, oh, I could go for an all-in, so LYON shoots at the arrow and then didn't decide to go for it.
Well, Morgan's already going to commit the counter-strike up here as the ulti follows right after. Fudge forced all the way back underneath the tier 1 turret. Jose Diodo also shadowing Morgan. Meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, the 2v2 action continues. Two Void Grubs have already gone over to the side of Shopify in the top half of the map as LYON and Core are thinking about keeping this fight going a little bit longer. That last little volley will turn things back in their favor overall for the trade.
Yeah, and they get the cleanse out, so it's a trade of the Encore for the cleanse, and when the arrow comes back up, that could be really problematic now because it's going to have to be a flash used at that point.
Yep.
If you eat that, especially if Encore is back up and available, Crystal Arrow into the Encore, into the beat drop for the root, or even the stun if you're slowed up and you have double power charge on it, is very, very dangerous. So going to be some good pressure here for LYON and Core JJ.
All right, and a reminder, LCS Spring Finals taking place in Mullet Arena at Arizona State University, June 13th and 14th. Tickets are going to be available beginning next week, so keep your eyes out for those. I love road shows. They're one of my favorite parts about the whole thing, so I'm excited.
Me too, and that's where I'm going to box LeBron, so make sure to get your tickets
That's
early.
where the showdown. Yeah, yeah, we've got the finals and everything.
It's the opening card.
But we have the opening match of Azale versus LeBron. Right there, too. So don't miss out on that one. It's going to be a fun time. So update, we're 11 minutes into the game now, and the gold lead hasn't grown at all for Team Liquid. Like, you're still happy to have a 1,500 gold lead 11 minutes into the game, but at least for Shopify, it's not like one of those types of games where something goes really bad in the first couple of minutes, and then it just snowballs completely out of control. The game is entirely over. But up here on the top side, there's your Grand Starfall. Contracts ready to commit to this one. Morgan tries to get all the way back underneath the turret, and he will succeed. Not enough damage there from Shopify to get this done.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would have made the difference, but you can see there was a bit of miscommunication. Fudge was backing off as Contracts ulted and flashed in, so wasn't looking for it. Jose is back here behind Seos.
Oh, and that was not a good Aqua Prison from the Nami. Now Core JJ is going to step up, go on a killing spree here with a Seraphine. Flash followed by Jose's flash as B-Boy cannot escape. Now Jose finds himself fighting behind the enemy lines, and he's going to fight all the way to the bitter end. 1v1 against Contracts is Pantheon here. Another win becomes lightning comes through. Core JJ was trying to get over there, maybe be able to save his jungler. Can't quite happen, but Team Liquid's still going to be happy with the 2-for-1.
Yep, going to be very happy with that. I talked about with the cleanse down, whoever that arrow is fired at, you got to flash it. They did not, and the Nami does get taken out. Zinni is starting to do quite well in this 1v1, which is kind of more what I expected in the isolated 1v1. The problem for him is, I mean, look at the rest of the map, right? The problem is kind of everything else.
Yeah, the problem is everything that you are not doing.
Yep. As this was just nicely done from Jose. They saw Contracts on the top side, so there's no ability to actually counter gank this. The knockup was really well timed there from Jose, straight into the Crystal Arrow. Had to flash early or flash that arrow, wasn't able to do so. Quid not even needed on the roam. Jose chases him down, gets the kill. At the end of the day, it is going to be the one traded back here as Contracts arrives, but it's a nice play there from TL, and both the bot laners up about 1K. And Jose just continuing right where he left off last week, was really good last week. Is one of the players that I would say received some of the most criticism from TL in lock-in. He was a new player coming in, and some players,
Whoa, Core JJ forced to flash out of that one. Does not want to eat any more damage from that tidal wave.
A lot of people were saying, oh, we're going to get Quid, and then once we get Quid, we're going to get Inspired, and people were kind of really excited for that potential of this TL super team. And so I think, maybe fairly, maybe unfairly, Jose was kind of compared to that potential pickup of Inspired. So people were a little disappointed, I think. As a result, he got some more criticism when things weren't going as well. But Jose was great week one, great here.
Now Fudge not going to find anything there with the public execution as Morgan continues chasing after him. Eclipse Shield Nope, that's not enough. Morgan picks up the solo bolo here in the top lane. We've seen a couple of times. It came close. Flash is being spent back and forth, but this time they get the job done as Zinni escapes the pressure from Jose Dioto back in the mid lane here at the same time, has contracts waiting in the wings in case Team Liquid tries to force something more. But Azael, just 3 minutes ago, I said, well, hey, at least Shopify has stopped the bleeding. At least it hasn't gotten worse than it did after the initial scuffle in the bottom lane. Now that gold lead's twice as big as it was.
Yeah, and they're getting the second dragon as well. A solo kill on the top side. You got the first tower up there now, too. And Morgan solo killed Fudge when Fudge was on Eclipse, and Morgan didn't have his first completed item yet. And that is a bit of a disaster because, you know, in this matchup, when you are playing Ambessa, you're rushing towards that Eclipse. You're going to get there before the Jax gets Triforce, especially when Jax pit stops for the steel caps, as Morgan did. Yeah. So that is kind of like your point of power, where you're supposed to be winning the matchup. Fudge, unfortunately, it was close, but his ultimate did miss, and that kind of made the difference there. And Morgan's able to get the solo, now comes back with the completed item, so he is going to be way stronger in this matchup, and he's on a champion that does outscale in the 1v1, so bad kind of goes to worse, and no one's answering Jack's bot lane either, so he's going to be able to pick up probably a lot of gold off this tower too.
Yeah, Trinity Force is just one of the best one-item power spikes in League of Legends with how much it enables you to do the trades, the all-ins, everything, alongside the steel caps that you're mentioning. And there goes the tier 1 turret down here in the bottom lane. Morgan is up 1,500 gold individually.
Yeah, I mean, that just seemed weird because they didn't even start the Herald. I was like, okay, well, if you're not going to answer, you're going to go for a play on top side, and maybe now they will.
Okay. However, Team Liquid's ready to respond immediately. Quid's going to go ahead, drop the ulti. Jose Dioto has already arrived, and Contracts is going to be your target as Quid makes sure Zinni can no longer participate here in the fight. Public execution coming out from Fudge, trying to lock up Quid, but it will not matter. Now Seos in danger yet again. The Nami is a fish out of water, and Team Liquid reel it in. 2-0 up here as everybody from both sides gets involved.
Yeah, it felt like everything's falling apart now.
And it might fall even further. Isaac B-Void tries to escape over the wall. He wants to try to get to the blast cone, but he cannot survive. The focus fire takes him out. And now, oh my, there's no way. We're still going. Morgan drops the ulti. There's another kill. This one's all done up, sewed up. Send it home. Shopify Rebellion collapse in the top half of the map.
Yeah, I mean, this just feels like desperation because they first send everyone topside. It looks like they're going to go for Herald, but then they don't start Herald. No one answers Morgan on the bot side, so Morgan gets your full tower bot for free. Then you try to go for this play onto Quid, but Jose is around. Morgan has TP. He's way stronger. The TL bot lane is here. So it just felt like they realized they messed up their macro. No one answered bot. They didn't force anything top. Then they tried to do it really late, but they've kind of lost all their tempo. And the play really does not work out. They have lost all of their outer towers now at this point. And TL over 6,000 gold ahead. This Jax is going to be on 2 items here pretty soon. And Morgan is going to be nearly unstoppable, it feels like.
And here goes Jose yet again. Just jumps in with Quid alongside him. Instantly finds the kill onto Seos. This Nami set behind early with the misplays in bot lane and has just been targeted again and again and again. Team Liquid up to a 6,500 gold lead now. The only person that has died on the team at all is Jose, because he's the one who has to go in. He's the one who has to start all these fights. But if the only thing that you've had go south in the whole game is your Xin Zhao that's making all the plays happen had to die 2 times, I think you're more than happy with that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not even like he died in really even fights. He died bot lane after chasing past the tier 2 tower to get a double kill, right? Like, that was one of his deaths. So
that's a thumbs up emoji.
Exactly.
You die, you flash the emote on that one.
Yep.
Team Liquid are moving into the enemy jungle now yet again, trying to steal away the red buff. Point blank arrow coming out from LYON. Pressure onto Contracts, as the rest of Team Liquid is going to go ahead, secure the red buff, and walk away. Jose's not even done with just the red buff. He wants the Krugs too. Anything on Shopify's half of the map is about to be repossessed for Team Liquid purposes.
Yeah, I don't think there is a Shopify half of the map anymore, unfortunately.
Okay. That's fair.
TLAW has taken it. They've drawn a new line in the sand, and that line is Pretty much at the base gate, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous to go past that if you're on Shopify right now. The Herald is summoned up here in the top side, right in front of the tier 2. Point blank, slam that one in. Morgan does the last little bit of the damage to secure the objective, and they are not done. Jose and Morgan continuing to push forward here in a 2v3, but the backup is ready to arrive. Encore from all the way downtown. Morgan goes on a rampage. Yawns on a killing spree, and B-Boy and Seos are scattered to the winds. The Herald just runs them over. Shopify Rebellion is turned into Void Tower roadkill. They slam it into the bottom lane tier 2 at the same time. Everything's going Team Liquid's way.
Call it Joseo Drift. He's going through the base. He's using the Herald twice in the same play. Gets a double knockup for a double kill on the enemy bot lane. Crashes it into the bottom tier 2. Jose is going crazy in this game, and that fan take from earlier, Jose calling it for him to get MVP. Hey, maybe it's not so crazy if he's going to be playing like this every game.
Yeah, maybe that guy was onto something, because as soon as Team Liquid took out that tier 2, there was no going back.
Yeah, I mean, they just full send it. Morgan and Jose going in. They use the Herald to crack the first tower. Then he realizes, you know what? B-Boy and Seos are very low. There's no flash. There's no Valk. Knocks them both up. Drives all the way through the base. Crashes it on that tier 2 as his team cleans up the double there. Quid getting that. And this is just a slaughter. 15-2. Here comes the Grand Starfall.
Okay, but what does it lead to? Nothing. Yawn immediately just fires right on back as Jose and Quid are zoning everybody else away. Contracts has merely delivered himself into the waiting arms of the bottom lane yet again, while Morgan is going to pick up another one underneath the tier 2 turret. Seos' Nami is... He's dead more than he's alive in this one. It's a rough game.
Yeah, it's looking tough out there for sure. Yawn, I mean, he got his flash, but that's not going to do much for you as you're going to have to watch this Baron go down, no problem. And this one is over. Everybody knows it, and it's just a matter of how quickly TL will be able to close it out. But they have more than enough power to do this just with this Baron. Yeah. It feels funny because it's like, okay, yeah, it's pretty good timing on this, and then you realize that's basically Baron taking on spawn, right?
Yeah, it's 20 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, Blake.
The game has gotten so accelerated that TL is able to do everything all at once. They're going to be able to grab this third dragon, no problem, and work their way towards Cloud Soul as well.
It was a 1,500 gold lead at 11 minutes. 10 minutes later, they have added 10,000 gold to that. It has been 1,000 gold a minute being built for the last 10 minutes of gameplay, which is pretty crazy stuff. And Team Liquid is now about to secure Soul Point here for themselves. And I feel like what you were just saying about, yeah, everybody knows this one's over. It's just about how long does it take. That's then the next test. You should be able to end it on this Baron push. I actually think that if you can't end on this Baron push, that's a little bit of an indictment of your cohesion, your shot calling, your ability to just like really push your advantage.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I will say I think Zinni, overall has done pretty well in the 1v1. The game has just kind of fallen apart around him. You look every lane but mid lane, it's a 3K plus advantage.
Yeah.
And Zinni had a rough debut. Did have a tough debut, but it's kind of a similar trajectory to what Quid has had in his career.
Well, we'll see if they can bounce back, try to get that trajectory looking a little nicer here in game number 2, because game number 1 is about to seriously struggle as Shopify Rebellion are stuck inside the base. What you were saying earlier, my friend, you are no longer allowed outside of the base walls if you are wearing a green jersey in this one.
But hey, the second split for Quid, he won MVP, right?
Yeah.
And this is the second split for Zinni. He already looked really good week 1. And need I remind you, they are still, for a couple more minutes, undefeated and at the top of the LCS.
Yeah, they're undefeated with a 12,000 gold deficit. Contracts jump into the back line, but Yawn has already gone on a rampage, and B-Boy's out of the picture. Nothing Shopify can do about this one. Send the whole kitchen sink at them, but it will not matter. Team Liquid is way too strong. They're way too far ahead. And now with only Zinni's Mel still standing, TL is ready to push it straight into the Nexus turrets. They just have to wait on that next minion wave to march up the bottom lane. And yeah, I don't think Mel can reflect enough of this. Yeah, you can. If you can somehow reflect every single thing they do, including auto attacks, then you can hang on. But I don't think it's going to happen. Team Liquid trying to get enough damage here to finish off the Nexus turrets. Don't quite have it here just yet, and Shopify is actually going to get their respawn timers off. I am very surprised this game is still going. Team Liquid's going to back away for now. I'm not sure if they're going to fully commit to the reset. Zinni survives, but he has to flash to do so.
They saw the Penta angle, too.
Is that what
back
happened?
it off. Yeah.
They saw the pin thing.
Zinni saw it. I saw it.
They saw Mel standing there with a Ludens and a needlessly large rod, and we're like, hold on, guys.
That is a pentaangle for Mel. Mel loads into the game. Pentaangle.
Okay.
I've got him right where I want him.
All right, they were playing with respect towards Mel. Okay.
It's Mel from Arcane, buddy.
Yeah. Hey. Fair enough. Fair enough. Aurora was not in Arcane. I concede that point.
Yeah. There's no Arcane champions on the other side.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah, inferior draft.
Seraphine's at least from Piltover. That's kind of similar. She was probably in the background at some point
singing somewhere
during the show. Yeah, she put on a concert or something. I don't know. But Team Liquid, all right, they didn't end when we thought they would. They were respecting the Mel. Now Zenny might just die before anything else can even happen in the fight, but he stays alive as Jose Otto puts the pressure onto Contracts on the left side of the fight. Quid has to flash away from the turret aggro, but the tier 3 turret is going to die anyway. Contracts falls as Morgan uses the stasis to make sure that one doesn't get traded back, and TL's just going to keep the pressure going. Morgan jumping in here with a counter-strike, forcing out defensive ultimates, forcing Shopify all the way back towards their Nexus. Fudge's public execution isn't going to do anything here. Zinni at least gets a little bit of a rebuttal, but that's not going to matter. Fudge is getting juggled around, tries to escape, but no, Quid goes on a rampage, and Morgan stays alive. They're farming Shopify on the fountain steps. A double kill back over to Quid. Team Liquid dominated this game from start to finish, 25 kills in 24 minutes. They wiped the floor with Shopify Rebellion. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's time for game number 2 here between Team Liquid and Shopify Rebellion. You just heard a little bit of a conversation between the devs and the player base talking about Mel, her position in the game, the role that she fulfills, the frustrations that players can have dealing with her. But I'll tell you what, Team Liquid was able to deal with it, and everything else Shopify brought to the table just fine.
Yeah, they smacked him 25-2 in a sub 25-minute game. Is an absolute shellacking.
One player died on Team Liquid. Jose Deodo died twice, setting up all the plays that they made.
Valiantly, may I add.
Yeah, no, it was a scene straight out of Gladiator. They're
For
fighting the fans. Yeah, no, it was super cool. And unfortunately for Shopify, they've got a lot to fix coming into game number 2 here. Obviously, you can look back to the priority of the bottom lane in game number 1, the Ashe Seraphine having the push, Jose just saying, all right, I'm clearing one of my quadrants, and now I'm clearing yours.
Yep.
And then he just had his boys behind him, and they wreaked havoc through that bottom side jungle. Shopify's got to have an answer for it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if they can. But before we lock back in for this game, did you watch that content piece, by the way, from TL? Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen the full version.
So
no.
the title is 20 Redditors versus 1 Rioter. And I just love that Core JJ and Raz and people like this are just lumped in as Redditors.
Yeah, it's like Cubby's there, Core JJ, like
Raz is there.
Raz is my favorite Redditor.
Is there. Yeah, Raz, okay, you can have a pass. Core JJ being a Redditor is great. He's just a Redditor.
He's literally one world.
It's a really good video, by the way. Check it out. So shout out to TL. But locking in, game 2, Shopify, the previously undefeated team.
Right.
No longer undefeated.
They have joined the rest of mortal men as they will select first pick here in this second game. So Team Liquid's going to go for the blue side. It's Orianna, Karma, and Varus banned out by TL. Over on the other side, Anivia, Rumble, and Nautilus banned out by Shopify. Remember in game number 1...
They want Rise, I think.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like, right?
That's my guess, but sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say in game number 1, they prioritized the Pantheon. They wanted to have that early jungle power, the extra semi-global authority of the ultimate to make the plays, but they just fell behind early and they never really found success with it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. Oh, interesting. So they're going to go Azir. I feel like the Anivia ban is a little bit surprising when you're looking for the Azir. You know, generally that is used as an answer into Rise, and quite a strong one. It can just be compositionally difficult to play against, but Azir is not one of the champions that I feel like struggles into the Anivia, so that ban is a little bit of a head scratcher for me. Maybe they're going to go, you know, the rest of their comp is going to be more short range or something. Yeah,
whenever I see Anivia, I think you want to be able to get value out of the wall. You want to be playing against something that does not have inbuilt mobility, but if Anivia throws up her wall behind you, you're just shifting sand over it, and it's like, okay, bye.
Yep. Yep, so it is interesting, but maybe that will make more sense as the rest of the draft goes. The others are just kind of like more inbuilt strong picks. The Nautilus ban does make me wonder if they are going to be going in towards, you know, like a Lulu Yunara or something like that, like a vulnerable enchanter that you don't want to get engaged on, maybe a Karma, maybe a Lulu. hovering over a bunch of different kind of known counters to the Azir. I don't know that we're going to actually get something that's spicy.
Yeah, I'm not taking the bait.
Yeah. And so it is just going to be the Rise at the end of the day.
My favorite spice, flour.
It's like when you go to Germany and someone tells you this place is really spicy. They have salt on their food.
Yeah, just like it's potato.
It's an uncooked potato with some salt. Some spicy German food. All right. I think
sorry to the German viewers out there. I'm not saying it's bad. It still
wonderful
tastes good,
people,
but
horrible food.
Well, back on the Shopify side, they're going to go ahead, lock in Ezreal and Neeko for themselves. So pretty powerful lane here with some solid range. Really just depends on how many of those skill shots are you going to hit, whoever you're trading into.
So not going to be the Karma. I was thinking it would be just Ezreal Karma, or like I said, Yunara
Karma
Lulu.
did get banned again.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, of course. I was thinking it was going to be an Enchanter in general, I should say, with that Nautilus ban, but I guess because the Karma then got banned on the other side, they just go for the backup Karma, the Neeko. So the Karma, Karma Ezreal, Neeko Ezreal, exactly. Someone who can work out there. The Jace is interesting because it is a blind Jace top. So you are likely to need some protection bans. Whether or not they are giving the respect over to Fudge that he would be willing to play some of the difficult matchups, I don't know. But they are going to be banning out Sion. So Sion, Aurelia is more of the kind of like the spicy counter, but a lot of people will go towards Sion and you kind of just like tank through some of the early levels. Some people do just like building a lot of armor against it. You just go for a tank, you look to outscale, and I feel like that would be an option that Fudge would go towards. I don't know that TL would ban Aurelia because I don't think that Fudge would play it.
Yeah, probably not. Blind Jace is definitely a more audacious, a more daring choice. However, Morgan has the #1 important thing for locking that in. Korean passport.
Yeah. Passport check.
Yep, we checked the passport. Yep, that's the Korean
all right,
flag.
Buddy, you can come in.
We're doing all right. Okay, lock the Jace.
Hold your horses there on that Chase blind pick. Where are you from? All right. Okay.
All right, yeah, sure.
Fair enough.
This will pass.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some bottom lane bans coming out from Shopify. They want to ban out that Bard, which can be one of the stronger laners to deal with things like Ezreal and Neeko. They'll also ban out the Sivir. We'll have the Sion and Vi removed from the table by Team Liquid. Now, how do they want to go about this bottom lane? They already know what they're up against.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that normally this hover I don't always buy into, but LYON and Core definitely do like going for Kalista lanes, you know, really aggressive lanes and trying to actually punish. I don't think that you would have the best time in the 2v2, so that's kind of my only question on if they're going to go for it. And instead, they're going to go towards the Xayah, which is kind of interesting because Xayah isn't generally considered a champion that is great into range. You know, generally, you are really good at absorbing hard engage, right? And so when people are showing Vi and when they're showing Ahri and when they're showing these types of champs, that's generally when you see it. But on the other side, we have Ezreal plus Neeko. Yeah, Neeko can engage, but like their 2v2 is about poke, right? Yeah. And Azir is pretty long range and low commitment. Oh, we got the Garen as the answer. That is actually pretty spicy. So I mean, egg on my face, I said he wouldn't go for a more kind of spicy answer, but he is going in towards the Garen. This is going to be pretty interesting. So I'm expecting it to be like Stridebreaker Rush. If you can survive the early levels, I think these kind of matchups can become quite good into the Jace. I do think the early levels can be quite difficult. If you get too far behind, you never actually get the ability to look for all-ins. But Garen has a very powerful post-level 6 all-in. Jace doesn't really get anything from 6, so if you can kind of live till that point, you can start threatening. Your wave clear gets really, really powerful. So my question really is, how do you do in the early levels? I do think the Poppy feels a little bit out of left field, but I think it's kind of with the assumption that we are going to have hard engage as the support option here for Core, and it looks like with champs like going down, we must have some sort of issue.
Yep, I was just told by producers one of the most depressing things I have ever heard in my entire life. The Garen lock-in was accidental and is instead supposed to be Cassante.
No!
So,
I was kind of surprised by it, but
I am sad.
Yeah, I'm sad too. I was like, okay, that's pretty spicy. You know, if you can survive, I can see it. All right, well, Cassante.
Yep, Cassante.
We got our 2 favorite spices, flour and more flour.
Yum. Well,
can I interest you in some warm water to go with that?
Perhaps, if one is feeling particularly daring, an ice cube added in. Well, once everything should be replicated throughout the draft all the way up to the very end. So
no replication.
Look, just treat it like an extra round of Fearless. Like, no, all that stuff you guys locked in. No, we're getting rid of all of it.
Getting rid of all of it. It's all out the window. Competitive integrity. Let's call it viewership integrity.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, what happens if we get into the game and Cassante has Guardian? Then what do we do?
Yeah, you know, tough luck there, pal. Time to play it out. Time to pull up those bootstraps, you know?
If Guardian Aatrox can work, surely Guardian Cassante is not as bad as that.
I can see it.
At least your tank.
There you go.
Stand beside your carries or something. Okay,
Let's see the APM here.
We are back in the lobby. Yeah, as fast as they can. Get through this. Spell TSM with your bands or something. None of that matters. We already know exactly what everybody's going to play.
All right, thinking through the runes. What's he going to go with?
What's the name of the page? Does it just say runes? Is his rune page just named runes?
I just have one rune page and I changed every game.
Yeah, so do I.
Okay.
I've never.
But you have a name on it? I've never changed the name.
Back when there was still like the runes that you had to buy with the old runes and mastery system.
Then you needed runes.
I had a couple different pages that I would use, like one for more MR, like one for a little bit more scaling, that type of stuff. But yeah, now that it's just you can change whatever, I just find it way easier between remembering like what every page is. No, just change it.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, it prevents you from being a dummy and accidentally forgetting to change. If you're always setting your brain in motion to be like, no, I've got to double check my runes.
Exactly. Which is what makes it even better. When you check your runes, you set your runes, and then you load into the game, and it didn't change your runes.
What are my runes? Hold on.
Get in, you're like, all right, going in, we're going to play some Cassante here. And I have Spellbook.
Like, what am I going to do?
Okay.
With it?
Melee versus melee matchup.
I always love the ones. My favorite, what is happening with this rune, is Kayn. Because I'll see people like play a game, and it's like, this is the most obvious blue Kayn game of all time. Entire enemy team is just all squishy champions. You one-shot literally anyone, loads into the game with Conqueror. And I'm like, brother, if we're playing blue Kayn, it's never going to activate. Like, there's no way this is the intended
You
choice.
get one spell, and then they are dead.
Yeah, it's like
2 stacks of Conqueror.
Fantastic. You look at the tooltip at the end of the game, it's like, total damage healed, 84. Like, what?
All right, we're getting Poppy. Maybe just goes for the Garen again, you know?
Okay, if he goes for Garen again, he's going to jail. Like, that's...
You know what? I would give him a pass. Because it would mean we had to rewatch the draft, but we didn't have to watch Game of Cassante.
Okay, all right. But then do you reward the behavior of remaking the game to just make the same game again? You're setting dangerous precedent here.
Only if it's for a cool champ. You'll get a pass, you know?
Champ coolness validates whether or not you can get away.
It's a good life lesson, because life isn't fair, you know? And if people like you, you're going to get away with stuff.
With crime.
Exactly. You totally get away with crimes. Let's be honest here. You know? It's like when someone really good looking is like, everyone's so nice here, you know?
It's just like, wow, everybody's just so kind.
Everyone's just so kind. That's crazy. Life is great.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
Not Cassante. No one wants to see Cassante, and no one wants to see Rise.
Yeah, Rise especially after we got to see, like, I love seeing stuff like Anivia in the game. Anivia's cool.
There you go.
Rise is...
Bird.
Rise.
Shoots out balls of ice.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. Not something you see every day.
Rise is something you see every day.
Crazy blue people. That's just a day in LA.
I do love...
They're on the street. You're seeing them everywhere.
To be fair, a lot of the Rise mains do act like that. The Rise community is one of my favorite communities in all of League of Legends, because you would think that people that play a mage that's, you know, kind of like one of the main characters in the overarching story of the game would be pretty rooted, grounded, logical people, but it's all just the most insane people you've ever met in your whole life, spamming EQ to each other like some sort of strange, bizarre Morse code. I love Rise players.
I kind of respect it.
They're completely crazy. You never know what you're gonna get.
You know, when people really commit to it, at first you're like, "Come on, bro, this is kind of weird. What are you doing?" And then they keep going, and you're like, "I don't know if it's a joke anymore, but I'm starting to think it is one." And then kind of, you know, goes full circle. It's like when you're watching a really bad movie, it can be pretty enjoyable. But if you're just watching like a mediocre bad movie,
right,
that's trash.
It
you
needs
gotta turn
to be
that
a 1
off.
out of 10. Like
Exactly.
it needs to be so bad that it goes back to being entertaining.
It goes around in the circle, you know?
saw
it's like with those Elo graph memes, you know, with Iron and Challenger, and they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But then the person in gold in the middle is like, no.
Yeah, the
You
Iron
can't
and
do
Challenger
that.
guys are both just vibing.
Yep.
You know, I one time saw, I think it was actually on one of the Rise rework like YouTube videos on the official Riot channels, and there was a guy talking about how his wife is going to divorce him because he played too much Rise, and now he just says EQ, EQ out loud, and she doesn't understand what's going on. So he's just fully embracing it and painting himself blue. I'm like, what are these people talking about?
This is the kind of conversations we have to have after a game like that, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a champ select delay. It's not a super spicy early game. We're just enjoying our time here on Summoner's Rift in the early levels. But Shopify at least have pushed down here in bottom lane this game. Again, going back to game number 1, looking at how things fell apart so rapidly, bottom lane control was a huge part of it. So B-Boy and Seos being able to breathe in this early lane has got to be a relief compared to the last one.
Breathing is a positive for sure. Another positive, FBI, who was on pros, was talking up Quid, saying he thinks he's the best mid laner in the league, that he's always creating a lot of pressure by himself. And that is something that is so valuable because there are different tiers of players. I mean, there's like the players that obviously are going to struggle on their own. There's players that with some assistance, when they get a lead, they can really kind of, you know, generate some pressure and do a really good job. And then there's the really special players, which to me are the players that don't need any sort of resources, and they can just create advantages. And that is so valuable and so nice to have when you are a jungler and you just know this lane is just going to win, right?
I can rely on this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's just going to do well. And if he's already getting an advantage by himself without any help, then heck, that's someone you want to actually go and give resources to a lot as well, because you know they're going to be able to make the most of that advantage. So Quid definitely considered to be, you know, one of, if not the best mid laner in the league, despite the lock-in not going his way, or not going the way he would have wanted, I should say.
So let's check in here on this top side matchup as Morgan has the lane control that you would expect early on. Jace bullies pretty much everybody that's not Jace. That's the name of the game. So Fudge's job is just to survive and farm, but Jose Diodo does not want to allow that to happen. He's going to show up here, but they don't want to full commit to any dive. Cassante, notoriously one of the most difficult to dive champions that there is, can very often turn these types of plays around. But considering Jose showed up, Contracts is now looking for opportunity down here in the bottom half of the map, but the wave is not in the right position here just yet.
Yeah, it's taking too long to actually get it in, so I think he is worried that it would be able to be responded to. Like just now is the wave crashing. Yes, the Jarvan is still pretty far away, but not going to decide to risk it there. And I think if Fudge had wasted his Pathmaker, I think you maybe go for that dive. But if you try to EQ in on him as Jose, he's just going to Pathmaker. Not only are you not going to knock him up, he's going to stun you under the tower with you having aggro, right? And then that is a recipe for a free failed dive. So Fudge able to survive that, no problem. But at the same time, you know, that allowed Morgan to be hitting the tower. So Morgan got an early plate. He does have a nice little CS advantage here on the top side and might be looking for a kill.
Yeah, Fudge down to 100 HP. Has to be mindful of what's going on here. Contracts does show up around the area just to make sure that Morgan's not going to find himself a 4.5-minute solo kill. So Fudge will go ahead, take his recall. Morgan is going to do the exact same, but Quid now has Jose right next to him over here in the mid lane. Zinni is under some pressure. Over the wall goes Jose, and the flash is forced out of the Emperor as Zinni has to spend that summoner spell defensively. Going to take away some of his playmaking potential here as Core JJ jumps in for the grand entrance, going in after B-Boy, forces that flash as well. Contracts also forced to flash. Flash after flash after flash after flash, forced out of Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, that is a lot of resources gone there for Shopify. Zinni tried to kind of take the aggressive trade, just shifted in on Quid. I'm assuming he didn't have eyes on Jose, but as soon as then you see Jose showing up, you've got a flash, and that is a little bit tough for him. Of course, it is still very close as far as the gold is concerned, and Fudge now back from base with a lot of armor, as you are going to need here into Morgan. And Morgan just picks up the tier and does have a serrated Dirk, so some early power for him, going to be scaling up. And it'll be interesting to see if he's building more for that side lane, you know, building like Cleaver and an armor pen, or if he is going to be going, you know, more just pure glass cannon, looking for the poke onto some of these squishy characters.
Well, I feel like the problem is if you're just pure glass cannon, you do have both the Cassante and the Poppy who will be more than happy to spam a ton of armor and just sort of eat those shock blasts for you. So if Fudge and Contracts are doing their jobs, it should be pretty difficult for Morgan to be able to land a lot of those big hits.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting, right? Because he went Grass. Grass is just a strong laning rune.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't scale as well as something like Conqueror for the 1v1, but still, you know, very powerful. powerful for the early laning phase. And, you know, sometimes we used to see people going, especially when Bruiser Jace was really popular, we'd see a lot more like Cleaver, Shojin, just kind of like these Bruiser builds that are very powerful in the 1v1 against champions like Asante. But now, some people do mix it up. Some people are still going kind of full lethality. Some people are doing, you know, Cleaver lethality. Some people are doing Shojin and just kind of skipping the Cleaver. So I'll be interested to see what he does.
Well, Team Liquid is going to go ahead and start up yet another early Drake. Remember in game number 1, the first Drake was Ocean, and they secured it about 8 minutes into the game. Here in game number 2, they once again get the high roll with the early Ocean Drake, and they get this one a minute and a half earlier.
Yeah, it's going to feel really, really nice. Strongest early dragon for laning, absolutely. And is going to help out, you know, gives you that additional HP regen based on that missing health, so is really powerful.
Well, JJ just continuing to try to keep the pressure on B-Voy here. The Xayah Rakan duo power down here in the bottom lane. Again, this is not as oppressive as the Ashe Seraphine was in game number 1, but LYON and Core are still looking comfortable.
They're looking really good. Honestly, if I'm playing against Nico Ezreal, and I'm playing an early game Rakan pre-6, and I'm even, I feel like I'm hard winning that lane. Like, you are going to feel really, really good about that, because Rakan is a weak early laner. Is he in trouble?
Yep, Zinni again under pressure from Hosei as the Cataclysm arrives to make sure the shuffle doesn't do its job, but Contracts ready to save the day. Quid still commits the flash to guarantee that he gets the first blood, but Contracts makes it a 1-for-1.
I like the buffer there from Jose, able to immune it, and now Jose going to stop that wave from getting crashed. Shouldn't be able to kill Contracts, can just kind of walk it back to the tower. But does push him back, and will have that wave in a better spot there for Quid. And this was really nicely done on the engage. They want to punish the missing summoner. Always love when you see people looking to attack there. There was a lot of pings going over in that area, so I'm assuming that is Contracts pinging that Jose could be there, because there was a lot of caution pings over by the enemy Raptors, and so he did have an idea that he could be there. Zinni incredibly low. Quid decides, you know what, it's for first blood. I'm going to flash in. Yep. Even if you trade the kill, that is going to be good for you. It was kind of like a Super Mario sound effect.
Yeah.
Yahoo!
Well, hey, at least he got his first blood.
Yeah.
At least he got his first blood. Contracts, his keeper's verdict was clutch there in being able to make sure that that was an even trade, because if you miss that, if you don't manage to knock the enemy jungler away, there's no way you can put on enough pressure to finish off the kill on the Quid anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And Contracts now going to be going back to base. He's going to be going a little bit of damage here. We pretty much always just see, you know, 1 damage item into tank for Poppy these days. No one's doing anything too crazy. It's kind of just every champion that is played in the jungle is pretty much building the same thing these days. Yeah. You're going Sundered Sky first, and if you can't go Sundered Sky, you're not getting picked, buddy.
It's just like, all right, get back in the roster. We need Xin Zhao or Wukong or somebody like that here. But we do have the second set of objectives getting farmed up now. Team Liquid has Jose acquiring the grubs. First 2 are going to fall no contest. As you can see, Fudge showing up before Jose can confirm the third. But Jose is not really too worried about this. He doesn't have his smite. He already used it, but Fudge can't continue putting on any additional pressure, so Jose gets all 3 grubs plus the first Drake. Neutrals are purely favoring Team Liquid here in game number 2.
Yeah, see? If you wanted him to be scared, you should have picked Garen, buddy. You know?
Yeah.
That Garen roaming down would have been spooky.
Ooh, nice double shuffle coming out from Zinni as they go to make the play onto Quid, knocking him low, knocking him down. Shopify Rebellion find their play.
That was a really clean combo. Flash, shuffle there, engage on bot side.
Yeah, Core JJ fully committing here with a burst onto Seos, and he dies before he can even unleash the Pop Blossom. Nice execution from LYON and Core.
Yeah, really good CC chain there. They hit him with the quickness, and they get the feather pull through on him, and he just dies before the Pop Blossom goes off, as you said. Able to finish him off there. But yeah, that was clean from Shopify in the mid lane. Of course, they would have wanted Zinni to be able to get the kill, but he has the flash. Emperor's Divide knocks him back. Immediate stun there from Contracts, and they just CC chain Quid pretty much 100-0. They knock him down, are able to get that kill. So a lot more competitive here in this second game. Jose shows up, but this time Contracts is there and waiting. He gets the flash, shuffle straight back in, charge out of the air so you can stun into that Emperor's Divide. Both sides of the Q hit. Then there's the knockup with the Keeper's Verdict to get that. Would have loved Zinni to get the kill, but really nicely done there from Shopify.
Nice, well played. Good job, Zinni. Okay, J4 can still look you.
Yeah, I love combinations of Poppy with champions that can create their own terrain, because if you get that timing like you're talking about, it's just so deadly.
And you can see his career stats very good, but they're going for another fight.
Yeah, Seo's dropped down to about 1/3 HP, a little bit lower. Jose and Core need some more damage, but Seo's flashes away from the Dragon Strike, staying alive for now. Quid arrives as reinforcements here with the Realm Warp. Contract still trying to make sure that Seos doesn't drop. Meanwhile, LYON versus B-Boy down here in the bottom lane, as LYON does not want to allow the Ezreal to participate here in the fight. Core JJ still looking, standing on top of a control ward. All right, Shopify is going to continue to retreat.
Yeah, they're going to continue to retreat. I'm a little bit confused why Contract stayed around and takes so much damage, because I think that Seos could have just walked out the side, and now maybe B-Boy is going to get threatened on this potential dive. We'll see if TL want to go for it, or if it's just going to be B-Boy having to back off. At the very least, they're going to be able to get some plates, deny some gold. Zinni was threatening the roam, but of course that was spotted out.
All right, B-Boy, this is such a frustrating experience.
It is, yeah.
You just have to sit there and watch the turret eat all of the farm. It's very difficult for him to even approach the wave. Seos finally makes his way back into lane now to relieve a little bit of that pressure, and maybe Contracts can get something back on the Core JJ, but no, LYON always stays in range there for the battle dance. Nice angle from Fudge here with the all-out. Knocks Morgan underneath the turret, but Morgan just casually, calmly walks away from it.
Yep, going to be able to go to the skies, hammer form, jumps back to the minion wave, and does have the Ghost Blade as well, so just activates the Ghost Blade, hops back to the minion wave, able to get out of there, no problem. That was a really nice angle, though, from Fudge, so credit to him.
Speaking of nice angles, Zinni looking for another one here in the mid lane, but the flash out from Quid, and now the counter punch comes in from Jose Diodo. Zinni down to 300 HP as Morgan arrives to guarantee the play. Quid barely holds on, but that's good enough, as Contracts and Fudge have to be careful now. This Jace hurts a lot.
Yeah, Contracts peeled about as well as he could have, honestly. You know, he hits the Keeper's Verdict, knocks Jose away, then as Morgan comes in, tries to go hammer for him, he stuns him, you know, with the Steadfast Presence. He's trying to do everything he can to peel, but as soon as that flash came through from Quid and Jose is right there, there's no way out for Zinni, right? You know, he doesn't have his flash, he used it on the earlier play. You used your E to go forward, and now you don't have any way out.
Yeah. It's, we've all of a sudden found ourselves back in very dire straits for Shopify Rebellion. We were just talking about how, yeah, it's a better look for them here in game number 2. But the problem is, they're now behind just as much as they were in game number 1. It was that 1,500 gold lead 11 minutes into the game that had then ballooned to over 3K around 14, 15 minutes. And now, you know, it's still about a 2,000 gold lead 13.5 minutes in for Team Liquid. Shopify have got to make sure this doesn't go the way of game number 1. They've got to make sure that they dig in and don't allow this lead to get any further.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, you know, they have really good scaling. You know, if they can kind of hold on here, you have a super strong front line. You have very powerful late game carries in the Ezreal as well as the Azir. You have some strong range. So they have a lot of good tools here. But TL also have some strong tools on their side. Jose walked over that ward, so Zinni will just back it up. Because TL can play 1-3-1 very easily. And you can also trail on the 1-3-1 with the Jarvan or with the Rakan, look for really explosive engages. And if Shopify do not have vision like they don't around this dragon, it's so tough to walk in. Because if you don't have eyes on the Jarvan, if you don't have eyes on the Rakan, and you try to face check, you are going to get instantly CC'd. There's no way for the Poppy to necessarily react when they're just flashing out of a brush.
Well, Team Liquid still with control over the entire map right now. Zinni goes in for the swoop onto Quid, and he finds it. Contracts right behind him with the slam into the wall. This 1-2 punch. Shopify is landing time and again.
Yeah, I love that. Just the rinse and repeat. They go the first time it works. They go the second time it gets flashed. Go again. Just go right back at him. And that was really well played by Zinni. That was the very edge of the hitbox, it felt like. I wasn't sure if he was in range or not, but that's one of those things, and we saw his career stats on it. When you have extreme comfort on a champion, you can know those slim margins.
Jose Diodo thinking about a potential dragon still here, jumps over the wall into the pit, but no, it's secured by B-Boy of all people, and now Jose Diodo throws his life away in the process. Shopify Rebellion are bouncing back in the mid-game.
That was pretty ill-advised, I gotta say. You know, going for the steal in that position without Quid there, it feels like it's very likely to be a one-way trip no matter what.
Yeah, now Fudge might be on a one-way trip of his own. Tries to go all out here in the 1v1 against Morgan, but the Jace has already secured the tier 1 turret. There's nowhere for Fudge to go except all the way home in a body bag. Quid shows up to collect the paycheck.
Nice movement there from Morgan and showcasing the value of that Ghost Blade, because Fudge goes all out, and I thought it actually could be relatively close. First in Tofo Strike gets sidestepped. Pathmaker gets sidestepped. Second in Tofo Strike gets sidestepped as well. He didn't hit a single ability after he went all out. And when you are missing all those abilities, when Morgan is sidestepping, juking back and forth, it is very tough. And now he picks up Swifty Boots. So, you know, really emphasizing the move speed here and just looking to straight up just avoid these abilities, just skill checking his opponents.
Yeah, you love to see it. He's up 1,500 gold, really showcasing that this, I'm going to slam blind Jace in the first half of the draft can work out if you've got the skills to back it up. Team Liquid starting up the Rift Herald now, but they will not be able to complete this objective before Shopify makes their way onto the scene. But the entire time, it just means that Team Liquid can use their split pushing power, use that Jace in the side lane to secure another tier 1 turret, this time in the bottom side.
Yeah, the hope for SR is definitely mid-jungle, as Jose trying to get some space here.
Yeah, Jose does manage to buffer the EQ, get away from Zinni before the Azir can try to find yet another shuffle play. As there's Core JJ's engaged with the Grand Entrance, isn't going to get a whole lot. Core chunked down to 1/3 HP, but Morgan has joined back up with the rest of Team Liquid. So even though Core is hurt, even though they no longer have the Recon Flash, they do still have the ultimate. But Team Liquid don't want to overcommit. They don't want to make a blunder here, potentially throw away the 2,500 gold lead they've earned so far.
Yeah, it was a trade of flashes, but like you called out, Core got chunked and Zinni stayed full health. So that is going to make it very difficult for them to actually challenge here. But TL are still in the area and are looking to do just that.
Yep. Keep your eyes on Jose Diodo here, off to the side. Herald's down to about 5,000 HP. They eject Morgan from the fight here with the Keeper's Verdict, but Jose Diodo jumping in over the wall. Zinni is low, but he isn't going to fall here just yet. Jose Diodo dies to B-Boy. Zinni still barely hanging on, but the accelerated shock blast can't finish him off. Pop Blossom from Seos finds 3. Nice ulti coming out from the Shopify support to guarantee they're going to win this fight. Now LYON and Morgan have to try to kite this one out, but Fudge hits the Intofo strikes on that one. Contracts right behind him. Shopify Rebellion got exactly what they needed. Azale, this game is back to dead even.
Beautiful fight there from Shopify Rebellion. Quid, way overcommitted, tried to take down Zinni. He was hitting Zinni over the wall. Look at Quid on the bottom of your screen there. Gets his spell flux down, and he says, all right, Zinni is so low. He has no shift. He has no flash. This is where I can go in and try to finish him off. So he flashes over, but he's not in range. He's not in range of Zinni. He can't actually finish him. Zinni lives with sub 100 health. And look at this, the knockback from Fudge here onto Morgan, and then Contracts insta-flash stuns him. Great coordination there from Shopify throughout the fight. The ultimate, the Pop Blossom from Sales was great as well. We got to go back to live as they are skirmishing. Looks like that won't result in anything, but Zinni survives with the narrowest of margins. Contracts is 4-0-4, and he is picking up where he left off last week.
Yeah.
Yes, they got dominated in game number 1, but Contracts was great in their series against Dignitas. Went deathless in that series. He was smoking Dignitas, and when Contracts is at his best, he can go toe-to-toe with the very best junglers in the league. This guy, at his best, is a force to be reckoned with. And that is kind of the point of this roster change, was they were supposed to be bringing in, you know, this stud in the mid lane, Zinni, who's going to be this really powerful import, pair him up with Contracts, who's going to be the guy to create action, you know, buy space for Zinni to have success, who's supposed to be kind of your big late game threat alongside B-Boy. And that was kind of the thought process. It didn't work out at all in lock-in, but you're seeing some of that here in Spring Split. Zinni already on 2 completed items, goes for the Shadow Flame there as the second item, so quite a bit of spell pen already picked up because he has the upgraded Sork boots. Didn't go for defensive boots at all, and is going to be pumping out the damage if he is left untouched.
Speaking of that damage, though, Muramana completed, fully evolved for Morgan's Jace, so those shock blasts are going to tear through health bars if he hits his shots. Shopify is still up. A little bit over 1,000 gold now with that tier 1 turret taken down in the mid lane thanks to the Rift Herald. As Fudge finds himself under pressure here in the top side. Gets back close enough to the tier 2 turret to try to make some kind of an outplay. Goes all out but finds himself further away from that protective structure, and Jose Diodo knocks him over. And now it's just more money flowing back into Morgan's pockets.
Yep, now he's going to be uncontested on that tier 2. Look where Jose is as well. Jose's saying, you know what? Someone might actually walk up to try to defend this from mid lane, so he's standing behind the tower there, anticipating that, but instead it will just be a trade. But TL are trying to start up Baron. They want to try to go for Baron, knowing that they have the man advantage right now. Baron at 20 minutes is risky from this game state, though, and it is going to get spotted.
Yep. True Shot Barrage flies right on through, finds the Baron before any meaningful damage is done to it. So Team Liquid's going to have to stop there. I like the fact that they looked for that.
Me
They're
too.
thinking, okay, we're up here topside. We know that you can't do anything about it. The natural play is probably just to try to take the Dragon as a consolation prize. What if they're not paying attention?
Exactly. I mean, it's a pretty low risk, high reward play, right? You know, if they stuck on it, then you're trolling. You're going to get wiped.
Right,
but,
yeah. If the True Shot Barrage hits you and you stand there, like...
But what if we stay? They'll never expect this. Oh, man. We're all playing fantasy this year. And let me just say, top lane is so funny because you look at a game like this and you're like, yes, I have Morgan on my fantasy. I'm going to get so many points. You know, he's dominating the game. He's crushing through the top lane. He's so powerful. And then you look at your fantasy and he's got you about like 3.8 points so far, you know, 2 assists. Top laners are just not even involved, man. You need to start giving top laners fantasy points just like for gold. If you get a big gold lead, that counts.
Yeah, just be like, all right, yeah, he's got 2,000 gold up on his opponent, bro.
That's a pentakill for top lane.
Yeah. Might as well be. I mean, hey, a kill on average in League of Legends is worth 300. If you're up 2,000, that's more than a pentakill. That's almost a septakill or something. I think that's the right prefix.
There you go.
Well,
get an Akshan in there, they res their team, you kill them again.
Just bring everybody back. Well, unfortunately, they will not be able to bring back that tier 1 turret there in the mid lane. So the match is going to become more and more dangerous here for Shopify as Zinni is the target. Realm Warp arrives. Defensive ulti, but the Emperor's Divide might not be able to keep him alive long enough. Diodo is going to full commit for this one too. Sundisk puts a lot of damage into the Rise, so Quid might just fall. All out from Fudge guarantees it. 1-for-1 trade with the mid laners, both dropping up here, but we aren't done yet. Fudge is eating so much damage from LYON's feathers, he has to flash out just to survive.
Yeah, has to run away there. Zinni did a good job buying time. They got to keep retreating though, because Morgan is here now as well. Zinni bought a lot of time there with the Emperor's Divide, with the Flash, really tried to just delay the maximum, summons up the Sundisk, you know, really try to put that pressure on. It allowed Contracts and Fudge to come in to trade that kill back. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of flashes used there from Shopify. Zinni sees the Realm Warp coming in, knows he's going to be in trouble. Instant disengage there onto core, flashes away from that grand entrance. Then it's a flash in from Jose to try to seal the deal. But Quid got CC'd under that Sundisk for so long. Then the knockout comes through, allows Fudge to get in behind him. So that was well played. But the problem here was B-Boy was not around at all during that time, and LYON was. So LYON was pumping the damage out, you know, as you had called out, and that just meant you can't really go for the extended play.
Well, we've still got ourselves a very close game state compared to what we saw in game number 1, right? Compared to a game...
The game was basically over at this point in game number 1.
Right, yeah. I mean, it ended at 24-something on the clock with 25 kills for TL. This time around, yes, it's still a very marginal gold lead for Team Liquid, but Shopify's keeping it much closer. They're able to find ways to guarantee that Team Liquid has consequences for their actions, right? Like, you're getting the kill back in topside. You're not just letting them get everything for free. Team Liquid now, we'll see how they want to continue playing this one. They are posturing towards the bottom side of this mid lane stare down we have here. Contracts with the Dead Man's Plate fully completed now with the Poppy. I really like this item on Poppy because so much of the character is getting the angles that you need for the wall tackles, and that just gives you that extra little bit of mobility to guarantee the stun really is a stun.
Yep, completely agree, and it's also 3 physical damage dealers over on the side for TL. Jose has gotten the Black Cleaver, so Morgan does not have to. Did go for more of that kind of pure glass cannon style in this game. Has gone for a Last Whisper third. And Zinni was hanging around mid lane, just waiting to see if anything was going to pop off. But as soon as he saw it was not, he goes back to base, grabs Seeker, pushes out the wave. Probably going to grab the blue buff for himself, and then we're going to kind of repeat this dance over in the mid lane. While these two teams are just trying to play for vision around the Baron, that is the objective that everyone is kind of focused on right now. You know, even if you are Shopify and you want to play towards Soul, which they probably do, you still at least need to have some vision in the Baron area to make sure that you're not going to give that away for free.
And honestly, Shopify has been doing a really good job focusing on Quid in this second game. They have 9 kills, and 5 of them are on Quid specifically. He's 3-5-1 here on the Rise. And Team Liquid has also made a lot of attempts at Zinni. I think Shopify have just pulled off their mid lane gambits better, and since both mid laners now have the Seeker's arm guard, I'm really going to be seeing who gets the greater value in the next team fight, because I feel like both of those arm guards are getting broken. Yeah, they are going to be really powerful. Both junglers missing flash. It is just that one extra flash for Morgan. TL starting up this Baron. Yeah, it looks like it's a bit of a bait though, because now they're immediately going to turn towards Shopify. CoreJJ and LYON both lose a little bit of HP. Ooh. There, that was a beautiful true shot barrage from B-Boy to knock LYON down below half HP, and CoreJJ in a similar spot.
Yeah, now they're just spam pinging onto that dragon. They know, you know what, that's enough of a chunk. TL cannot go back to the Baron. There's just no shot. So they're going to be able to go over here. Contracts starting up this dragon. This would bring them to Soul Point.
Yeah.
Probably not going to kill this the fastest, but Zinni will be able to get over there and help him out. TL, though, are just pinging right back onto the Baron. They want to try this one more time. LYON had the red buff, so he was healing up, and we'll see. I don't think Shopify know. They're just kind of assuming that they wouldn't try it again. I think they're giving the Baron.
Assumptions are a very dangerous game in League of Legends. You can finally see some pings coming out from Shopify. They know that this could be happening, but they know way too late. And yeah, it's Soul Point for Shopify, but a free Baron at 26 minutes feels so good for TL.
Yeah, that is heartbreaking as well for Shopify. At the very least, you know, it's not like there's a dragon on the map that they can grab and deny that. You can kind of try to just sit back and wave clear. But this is exactly what TL needs. Cyrilda's now done for Morgan off the back of that. They want to play 1-3-1. Now you give the 1-3-1 team Baron buff as well, which is going to make it really, really difficult. Ezreal, not great wave clear. Azir has pretty strong wave clear, but that's pretty much it as far as being able to clear out these waves quickly is concerned. So it's going to be difficult for Shopify, and Azir is just trying to hard shove the top side to get that wave moving in the right direction. Now he's going to retreat back to base, and they're going to try to just stall out this Baron as much as they can.
All right, Shopify, how well can you hold on? You've got to make sure that you don't lose anything more than what's necessary. You've still got tier 2 turrets standing in mid and bottom, but Team Liquid is looking to fix that situation pretty quickly. It's Quid, LYON, and CoreJJ with pressure in mid. LYON and Core trying to rotate down into the bottom side, but Contracts immediately with a tackle over the wall, looking for the kill here onto LYON. They force the
Seos!
but it's Seos with a massive pop blossom. LYON is already down. Fudge goes all out, and CoreJJ and Hosadiono both fall. Once again, right when they needed most, it's Shopify Rebellion with the perfect angle, and they kill 4.
Damn, Contracts had so much confidence. Look at this. Contracts flashes in, insta-stun on LYON, double knock-up, and then Zinni is hitting them over the wall. Seos had such good timing. Hits the Pop Blossom, goes back into the pit to try to get out of the vision. Not sure if he did or not, but then flash over the wall, pops the Rocket Bell, gets in. Zinni's back to live. He's fighting.
Yeah, Zinni versus Morgan in the live as Morgan tries to outplay it. One more auto attack and he gets it. But now he's got to try to escape from Seos and Fudge. Cassante is not very fast. It's hard to close the gap onto this Ghostblade Jace. Accelerated Shock Blast finds Seos, and Morgan not only gets the kill, he gets away, he dodges the True Shot Barrage, and he's keeping Team Liquid in this.
His 5th fantasy point now for that play.
But the problem is, you probably won't get it because it's just like, well, you didn't die, but that's not worth the point.
Yeah, killed off Zinni though. Nicely done to him. Was a trade of flashes there as well between those Soul laners, and he gets a shutdown. The 700 gold shutdown for Morgan, who is already really, really strong, and he's just going even more lethality. So we talked about this option. You know, you correctly pointed out that hey, it's going to be tough if you have to shoot those shock blasts through Fudge and Contracts, but if you can find an angle from the side where you're hitting one of these squishy characters, sometimes one shock blast to start the fight on a character like Azir means Azir can't really take the fight.
Right. I mean, this is going to do so much damage when he does land these. And honestly, I feel like Morgan is doing a lot of heavy lifting here in this second game. The pressure that this Jace is exerting in the sides makes it hard for Shopify to utilize any of the momentum that they've got from some of these big team fight wins that we've seen them pull out.
Yeah, and it's very costly death. You know, Zinni gets shut down, loses his flash. You know, that is a big playmaking tool for the Azir. I would argue the Azir flash is probably a lot more important at this point than the Jace flash, though of course, you know, that is still valuable. But really nicely done there from Morgan, who has been just such a pressure point for Liquid. You know, we saw Liquid when they went up against LYON. LYON, their whole plan was kind of just shutting down Morgan. They believed that Morgan was the guy to stop. You know, they brought out these ranged top laners, they crafted their whole plan. And, you know, so they clearly had a lot of respect for Morgan and what he was doing, and I think Morgan has been very, very impressive as a laner for TL. And that is why people, you know, are still excited about TL and the ability of this team, because it just feels like when you look at the players as individuals, they all have the ability to be, you know, top in class kind of thing, right? And so the question is, can they bring it all together? Because Shopify here, who's a team that is powering much lower than them, is looking very, very even in this game. You know, they are on Soul Point here. They are looking really competitive, and they're turning in a great game.
And I think so much of this is going to come down to this dragon fight here in about 45 seconds, right? If Shopify locks in the Dragon Soul, that's going to mean a whole lot. Especially, Chemtech Soul always usually catches some flack for not being as strong as the other ones. But when you have some characters that are naturally slippery to catch, difficult to kill, Cassante and Poppy can both be such a big pain that extra bonus that you're getting from the Chemtech can really turn it from annoying into a total nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you're not getting one shot, you get a lot out of the durability, right? You know, as you get lower. So definitely these tanky champions, a lot easier to get value from it. Contracts is here and has been playing an incredible game. Contracts still deathless on his team and has been starting off a lot of fights. Jose has been trying to find an angle here, has been walking around, clearing out vision, and he's covering for Morgan to push. TL are trying to draw people over to Morgan. If no one responds, it's going to be a bit difficult.
Okay, Morgan rotating down to the Dragon fight now, though. Shopify starting to DPS it, but it's not dropping particularly quickly. Quid loses 1/3 of his HP here at the very onset of things. Seos goes in for the two-man Pop Blossom, but it's not a whole lot just yet. The burst onto Zenny nearly kills him instantly. Seos tries to get away, but Morgan's already found the kill. The Emperor's Divide accomplishes very little. Team Liquid looking for more damage as Morgan continues chasing forward. Fudge can't do anything to the back line. Yes, they lost Quid, but they got everything else. Now Contracts wants to turn the fight back around as LYON is forced up into the air yet again. And Contracts goes unstoppable. The hero here for Shopify. But Morgan comes around from behind with another big accelerated shock blast. As Contracts is the last one standing in a green jersey. They'll knock him out as well. It's the Morgan show, and Shopify Rebellion unfortunately have front row seats.
Yeah, Seos hits a double root, gets the Pop Blossom in onto Morgan, but the problem is no one can get over there. And look at this engage from CoreJJ. Zinni gets the Zhonya's off, but he gets the Zhonya's off at 100 HP or thereabouts, and then Quid is able to pop into his stasis to immune the Emperor's Divide. B-Boy got pushed out by Morgan. This is a great re-engage from Contracts, though. Finds the angle to get back in on LYON. They knock him down, which makes it a little bit closer, but then Morgan is back. Another Shock Blast gets him another kill. This guy on the Jace is ridiculously strong at this point. Great counter engage from Core, and really nice stuff here from Morgan, who is just on one. He is a 4.5K.
Yeah, that is totally insane. He's nearly full build. He's got his Serpent's Fang completed now. The Sorelda's already got completed a while ago. BF Sword in the inventory, working on the last item. The Baron is already down to half HP. CoreJJ waiting in the wings for if Shopify tries to fly in and do something. Stolen away by B-Boy.
Oh no, Jose, that is not supposed to happen in this season, man.
Oh no.
It used to be more of a flip sometimes in the old days. To be fair, a lot of people were hitting that, you know, it might have died quick. But Smite does a lot of damage these days, and you're not supposed to be losing it. Let's see, 1,700. Oh, he just kind of smited late. It went to 1,700, and then it went to 1,000, then went to 500.
Yeah, did he even smite?
No, he never used smite.
Yeah, sometimes I know that the spectator UI can have dishonest cooldown timers, but yeah, I didn't even see the smite come down.
He didn't use it, so it was a bit slow there. Maybe there was something going on. Like he's like, okay, guys, stop hitting it. I'll finish it, and then they didn't or something, but. I mean, either way, that's one you got to hit. That's one you got to hit.
That's a blunder for sure. So Shopify are going to wipe the sweat off their brow a little bit on that one. This does buy them some time, does help them out. We'll see what they can possibly earn with it, because the problem is that 5,000 gold lead Jace is marching down the bottom lane, and nobody wants to even be on the same screen as this guy.
Yep, but if he's not there, then you know what? It's actually Shopify with the gold lead. Morgan now has the GA, so that is a big buy for him. It's Shopify on the march with that stolen Baron, trying to put the pressure on to TL here.
All right, first Shock Blast doesn't collide with anybody on the Rebellion. As Shopify want to continue using this Baron pressure. They've got the double Baron cannon minions sieging the tier 3 turret here in the top lane. Those are finally going to get cleared out. Fudge providing a second point of pressure over in mid as Morgan jumps in after the Cassante here. Does get knocked back. Morgan might just get ripped through the wall. The all-out finds the Jace, but Fudge loses a lot of HP in the process. Sunday's still standing here in the top lane, so Team Liquid doesn't want to overcommit chasing after Shopify.
What Fudge was trying to do there was get the right angle to pull him over the wall to where Contracts was on the side, but he didn't quite get the angle right, so ends up pulling him into that wolf pit. And as a result, Contracts didn't have his flash. He tried to Hex Slash over to try to help him out, but it was obviously too late. And now Zinni and B-Boy may be caught. They're going to try to TP back in and defend it. And it looks like that will be enough to stop the play. But yeah, good attempt there from Fudge. Of course, looks silly when you don't get the right angle. But if he hit that angle correctly, hey, that is exactly, that is the best target to go for. And remember, spring finals, we are going to the Mullet Arena June 13th, 14th. This is going to be tickets on sale next week, I believe. So scan the QR code and find out some more info about it.
Well, the next thing I want to find some info about is Dragon Fight Chapter number 6, because we've got that here 90 seconds from now. The last one was the big win there for Team Liquid. Morgan, again, flexing those muscles, being the carry, but it's still Shopify on Soul Point. If they can get this Dragon, it's still a big power spike for them. Team Liquid does not have priority over the bottom side river right now. Shopify doing a good job maintaining control of that, and that's just another advantage that you get for stealing the Baron.
Yep, exactly. Going to be able to control that space, looking for this Soul, and it's going to be up to TL to try to stop them. Shock Blast does a lot, but B-Boy had that Bloodthirster shield, has a ton of lifesteal, so you know, if he has access to a wave, he is kind of chilling at this point, unless you can hit Shock Blast after Shock Blast on him. And Core is on a deep flank. He's trying to get way behind them here. But this is always risky if you get spotted. Seos is not with them right now, though, so Shopify for now only have the 4 members, and Core now does reveal himself.
Yep, Core stepping out of the fog of war, gets spotted out. Seos seeing if there's an opportunity to punish the Team Liquid support, but no. Core can manage to exfiltrate in time. Now Fudge going to check into the brush. Core JJ goes in for the quickness, immediately finds the back line. Tons of pressure here on the contracts already. Seos wants to pop blossom, but he's forced into the stasis. Zinni is already down. It's a disaster for Shopify. Team Liquid find exactly the angle. Core JJ instantly engages. It's a 3-0, and TL's looking to end the game.
Zinni was dead before it even started. Even with the stasis going off, that explosive engage from TL, they fully commit, and that should seal the deal.
Yeah, I don't really know how you stop this at this point. B-Boy's going to do whatever he can to try to slow it down, but Team Liquid have made their way onto the Nexus turrets, and those will both crumble before I can even finish my sentence. Seos falls here too. Josedioto just flashing over the wall to keep B-Boy busy, as Morgan and Quid will pad their stats with a little bit of extra minion kills. They're just making it painful at this point. It was a much closer game, but it's still a Team Liquid victory. 2-0. They'll take out Shopify Rebellion.